So one of the cool things that we have, and I really feel passionate about it because this is something that I was associated with for the last 1 year or so, is our ability to take our world-class solution and bring it into the cloud, right? And these are showing you some of the different workloads and use cases that customers could use in the cloud. But at a very high level, think of this as the solution as this, right? So we have this thing called cloud storage services, right? So this is basically offering the storage as a service. So customers don't have to buy an Isilon storage. All you're saying is that, hey, I want to buy a certain amount of capacity for a certain amount of time. So you could say, hey, I want 10 petabytes of capacity for 2 years. Right? So you buy that stuff. You don't have to worry about the storage. You don't have to worry about doing firmware upgrades. We take care of it. It's a service.
So is it an actual physical box then that you look after?
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it, whether it's physical or software, but
and you still have to buy it for 2 to 3 years. It's not like a subscription model. You can't turn on and...
It is a subscription model. So you say like 10, I start with 2 petabytes maybe, and then you change it to 5, then make it to 10. You can change it as you go, basically. But what I'm saying is that...
To 1, so shrink the initial...
You could shrink it also, yes. You can go up, go down. It's totally... But you are the storage behind it is not yours, right? In the sense like you don't have to manage it, you don't have to maintain it. It is offered as a service, right? The true service cloud type of service.
Is there a minimum term length, or can you get it monthly?
I'll have to look it up exactly, but we charge it on a monthly, but we might do it prepaid, basically, like on a right. So. But yes, but it is on a monthly basis. Right? So, so the thing is that because under the covers, it is our own storage, so you can have a native replication back to your own data center. So if you have a customer, you already have Isilon, right? You might say, as an example, one of the use case that one of our customers did was like, hey, instead of having a backup site, where I have to maintain separate data center with Isilons and servers and all that stuff, I'm going to just buy this, and this will be my DR site, right? And then when there is a DR actually happens, then I would just go and run it from this cloud services with the compute and the servers. I'll spin it up in my preferred cloud. And then basically use the storage from this cloud.
How many regions and zones are you in at the moment?
Sorry?
How many different regions and zones?
There is a slide I'm going to talk about all the different regions that we offer, and it actually also varies based on the service that we have, right? So that's basically at a very high level is our cloud storage service. Just to give you. One, it's a service. 2, it gives you native replication capabilities, and the third part of it is the fact that you can leverage the elasticity of the public cloud, right? Example for Isilon, for example, rendering, right? You're doing a movie production. You need suddenly hundreds of servers to do this rendering job. You can basically, at that time, when you need it, you spin up those servers, leverage the data out here. Once your job is done, you can spin down those servers.
How do you manage the encryption? Maybe somebody already asked this question between the two systems. I mean,
these two systems, yeah. So this is basically we use our SyncIQ technology. So our SyncIQ technology basically has encryption built into it. So any data which is shipped here is encrypted when we are shipping it between these two. There is encryption is in the link between the two Isilon systems.
So is the cloud storage encrypted then? When I have the data at rest,
yes,
it's there.
Yes, you can, because it's at the end of the day, it's an Isilon system. So Isilon offers data at rest encryption. So the data out here is also encrypted, right? So I meant to say the data at rest is encrypted. The data which is being moved between the two arrays through that replication link is also encrypted.
Okay. So is the key manager, is it on-prem or is it in the cloud, if it's encrypted in the cloud?
So the key manager is basically as part of this service. It's out here.
So does this run on the public clouds, whatever their version of VMs are? Are you guys running on bare metal on each of these, or because you're deploying your file system to public cloud and running that as a service, right?
Yeah. So the way it offers is basically this is our service. Our service basically has the arrays out there as part of our service.
So what is it running on? Is it running on bare metal? Is it running on like S3?
It is running on our own Isilon servers.
Your Isilons into those.
That is correct. That is correct.
Okay.
You put the physical Isilon?
Yeah.
Is a physical Isilon. But what I am saying is that to the end customer, it does not matter, because tomorrow if I change those physical Isilons to a software defined,
but
you will.
That's not how
it does matter.
But so you have metal Isilon components inside AWS?
Inside our cloud data service.
It's your cloud data service.
It's effectively.
So where does that run? Because it's confusing.
That's right. It's through as an example. For example, it could be an Equinix data center which is sitting right next to, like, for example, an AWS.
But that's not. Is that okay?
You're just saying that the AWS and the Azure and all that kind of stuff can hook into the cloud storage services.
That is correct.
In the other data center.
Yes. Maybe my next slide will clarify it for you, the exact architecture. This is a more of a high-level slide.
But that's not in the public cloud, though. I'm having struggling with that.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a co-located. This particular slide is about this being a co-located offering with a partner we have, and we have obviously the express routes and the various other accesses, depending on what they're called, to access each of the public clouds. And that's what allows you to get that bursting. So you can talk on-prem to this particular thing that's hosted by us as a managed service through a partner, and then you can access compute resources in any of the clouds via Connects.
Your slide should have been another.
And then the next slide will probably go into that.
So I think this will give you a little bit. That's what I'm saying. So this particular service, there are 3 types of services that we have. We'll talk a little bit about the third one because that's in beta. The first one is basically offers a direct connection from those clouds to those. So you run the compute here. The storage is in this co-location facility offered as a service. Right, so you're getting the reason on the end part of it is basically you're getting the advantage of basically Isilon OneFS file system on those computes out here, right? Mm-hmm. So for example, today, say if you need file, you want a scale out file, you have 2 choices. If you're using a compute in AWS or a compute in AWS as an example, you have 2 choices. You could use the native Elastic file system in AWS, or you could use OneFS cloud file system connected through this direct link, right? Now, the advantage of this is the fact that you get all the bells and whistles of our scale-out file system versus the file system that is offered natively in the cloud. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, we have found even the performance of this file system, even though it's not inside, it's not native, is actually better than the native file system that you get. So you get better performance, more enterprise capabilities, and the fact, because it is our file system, the ability to replicate data back and forth from your data center to out here is much seamless. You are not incurring egress charges, and so on.
So let me break it down just so I can understand it.
Sure.
So that would mean that I'm using Amazon and their virtual machines to maybe not virtual. I'm using their virtual machines to build containers, build a containerized application that is accessing the data that I have in an Isilon in this colo.
That's correct. That is correct.
Do you guys work with VMware Cloud on AWS?
That is correct.
You do?
Yes.
So, okay.
So in fact, our solution, and we didn't talk it about here, in fact, the solution that we have with VMware Cloud on AWS is unique to Dell EMC. So if you are using VMware Cloud on AWS, and you have 2 choices, like I said, you could use the native storage in VMware Cloud on AWS in the cloud. So that's one choice. There's another choice is you can go outside that cloud to a colo. And if you are going outside the cloud to a colo, then Dell EMC is the only solution that is offered today.
So what about backup? You have a cloud presence, OneFS.
Yes.
A lot of backup vendors have a cloud instance, software only.
Yes.
Is there open transparency for that, or is it, what offerings do you have for that situation?
So, so typically, like say, if I'm a customer, I would want to use this as my DR site. So I will have my Isilon running in the data center. And instead of having a backup data center, I would use this cloud as my backup service.
Okay.
Right? So that's basically one use case. So there are different use cases for it. So backup is DR is a very common use case. But then, like as I said, there are other use cases like, hey, analytics, right? I have this large data set. I want to do analytics. I want to do this bursting, which will require 100 servers for a week. All I would do is replicate the data, spin up 100 servers, do my analytics. Once the analytics job is done, those servers are gone, right? And I have my results back here. All right, so that's basically this service, we launched it last year, right? So Dell EMC's cloud storage services. What we are launching new as part of the announcement is we did something with Azure exclusively. So that's basically part of this service, but the main difference is that we have a very now fast connection with Azure, and when you're writing data to this compute, there are no egress charges, right? So typically, whenever data flows out of the cloud, there are egress charges. In this case, there are no egress charges when you are using this particular solution with Azure. And then there is another solution that we have, which is right now in beta. I'll give you a demo just to give you show you how it works, which is with Google Cloud.
Are you working with AWS to do the same as with Azure?
All of this is, yeah. We are working with all the cloud vendors.
So why don't you have, if you guys are working with VMC, that's a kind of a big thing. Like, why wouldn't you have and it's a Dell storage thing only, why wouldn't you have another section that announces that? That seems like a pretty big deal.
So the great question. So this is basically our solution. What I'm showing you is basically for Isilon. For the VMware cloud, basically, as in my first slide, when I showed you the workloads, VMware data stores, Isilon is not a good use case for VMware data stores, right? So that use case that you're talking about, where you're running VMs in VMware Cloud and your VMDKs are sitting on a storage, you would probably use like a Unity storage or something like that, right?
Fair enough, that makes sense.
Why aren't you doing the cloud on OneFS for GCP with other service provider then? Because
every vendor has their own speed at which they would like to, I would say, right, function. Everyone has their different objectives. So with every vendor, the relationship is different, the goals are different, and so on.
But can I ask you, looking at your installed base, customers, what is the demand for each one of the providers?
So for example, generally, you know what the top cloud providers are, right? Now, what I would say is that's in a general case, right? But what for example, for Google, for example, the use case for Google is mostly in the workloads that Isilon plays in, the high performance, right, analytics. Google does really well there, right? So the companies thought that the solution together would be of extremely value mutually, right? Also, I just wanted to highlight this solution as an example required co-development between Google and Dell EMC.
You're going deeper into that in the next slide?
Yes,
or?
yes,
Okay.
I will talk about it. All right, so this is just giving you a little bit of differentiation between all these three solutions, right? So clearly, you do get our Isilon file system, right? So that's so instead of instead of what's available natively in the cloud. You do get this native replication that we talked about, leveraging SyncIQ. So from your data center to this cloud services data center, you could use like a SyncIQ type of replication. That's a huge plus, because when you do that replication, you are not incurring any egress charges. Isilon is a high-performance multi-protocol storage, so you do get that, and I'm highlighting that because some of the native cloud solutions don't have that offer, right? So that's basically our multi-cloud services. You were asking about regions. So right now, this service is offered in Reston, Portland, Santa Clara, London, and Frankfurt, right? So this multi-cloud service. Then the one for Azure, like we called out, is there is no egress fees. That's the extra part of it. So that's the difference between these. Again, these are the data centers. And then the one which is out here basically gives you all of this. But the big difference out here is the management of this, is the management of that OneFS file system is integrated into the Google Cloud portal.
And that's all within the GDPR legislation? So GDPR in Europe is a big thing.
Yeah.
I see the Azure one is only in London, and there's something going on with...
Yes. Yeah, so... so that is, yes, we are looking to, as you can see, we already have a data center here in Frankfurt. It's a matter of extending it depending on demand, right? We have the capabilities.
What about the Asia Pacific area? Are you looking to move into there, or...?
Yes, absolutely. So in fact, we do have some customers, but we haven't publicized it, but we do have some customers who are using it in the APJ. It all depends on the demand. The challenge with APJ is very fragmented as an example. So we'll have to figure out it all based on demand. We can spin it up.
So for Cloud OneFS, is that priced by the hour? It looks you go through Google Cloud.
I'll talk about the price. Yeah. So, okay. but the main difference, what I wanted to show you, is the fact that it is all integrated. The management is all integrated in the Google Cloud's portal, right? So let me show you
more detail.
Yes. So for example, so when you have to buy this Cloud OneFS as an example, you could buy this through the Google Cloud's portal. You go there, you fill up this form, right, and then we'll have this thing set up for you. And then, and I'll show you a demo basically where you can go and manage it. You can create file systems. You can create clusters. You can create file shares, all through this Google Cloud's portal.
The question is, in the slide where you had the different types, it wasn't clear if, are you running the Isilons in the Google Cloud data centers, or is it the same construct of?
It is not in the Google Cloud, but it has a very fast dedicated link between Google Cloud and our data center.
So it's actually the same as the Azure one.
It is similar.
So there are.
It is from a high. Let me clarify why I meant similar. Is that from a high-level perspective, it is similar that way, right? It is not inside the cloud, but the difference is basically in this particular case for Google, the link between it is a private connection. It's not shared. It is a private link between our data center and so on.
So this means that you lose all the elasticity of the cloud. I mean, one of the biggest advantages that you have in AWS with FSx, with the Lustre file system that they manage, is that you can have everything on an object store. You spin up the file system, automatically you get all the data transferred. So usually you have an archive that is very cheap. You upload everything very quickly. You do your big data, whatever you like, and then you offload everything again. So you have the managed file system, the speed of the file system, everything you like from NFS or whatever interface you use. Actually, not NFS in this case, but you don't pay for precious, very expensive resources all the time. By doing this, I don't see a huge advantage. I mean. So there are several options already in Google Cloud. Why as a customer, I should adopt this?
So great question. So what you're talking about, I would spin up a file system, use it, and then get rid of the file system. It makes sense when your data set is like 50 terabyte, right?
Yeah,
when you're talking about 200 petabytes of data, right? One, it is going to be prohibitively expensive. So think about the use case where we are going after. This is unstructured scale-out file system data, right? This is not a...
No, they do it for very large data sets.
True.
Inside the same cloud, all parallelized, whatever.
Okay, so I can do the same thing, but what I'm saying is that you could do it, but you will not, you will not copy 100 petabytes of data, which will take all that time, and then tomorrow delete those servers. You're going to probably keep those servers around. You are keep that file system. Say, think about it, a 40 petabyte file system, you are not going to delete it after you copied all that data. You're going to keep it there. If you're going to keep it there, what I'm saying is then one, basically from a price perspective.
You have a customer with 40 petabytes of data on Google Cloud.
Not saying that, but what I'm saying is that that is a possibility. You could have a 40 petabyte cloud. There is no limit to it. It is like, your point was, is it elastic? And I'm saying it is elastic. You can start with, say, whatever terabytes or petabytes you want. You can grow up. You can come down. But it is typically not something that I will have something, like in the case of the compute, you spin up 100, you will bring it down to 0. You'll spin it up to 100, you'll bring it down to 0. With a petabyte-sized file system, you are not going to go it to 100 and then you bring it to 0. You'll still have that data sitting out there. The data is not growing, but it will not, you will not typically bring it back to 0. You might spin up the compute back and forth, but the data side of it, you are not going to shrink it down to 0. That's all what I was trying to say.
Okay. We can discuss offline about the use cases.
Yeah, I think we are running out of time a little bit, so yes, we could definitely talk more.
I hate to be awkward, but I just literally one question. And
yes,
I know
please.
We've got time. Are you offering the same ability to replicate data into that environment as you did with the...
Absolutely.
Okay. So
absolutely. That's a big value add that we offer. Yes, you have the same sync IQ replication that you have. And that's the part which I want to clearly highlight it. Say if you had that file system inside the cloud, right? You bring it in, but when you're going out, you are paying the egress charges for that file system. With our native replication between the Isilon in the cloud and the Isilon on-prem, you are not, there is no egress charges for the data in and out.
Real quick clarification, it's from on-prem to cloud, but not cloud to cloud, right, with the OneFS?
Okay, so let me go back.
So this just real quick, it's...
Yeah, so this is depending on, so this on-prem to cloud, no egress charges. And then that from that compute to this one, depending on the service, right? This way there is no egress. This way for some of them egress. For the Microsoft one, there is no egress. For the one which we did with Google Cloud, there is no egress, right? No egress here, no egress this way.
Right, but not cloud to cloud with OneFS.
Yeah, no, so great question that you had. So say, for example, you are saying I'm using Amazon for my computes. Next year, I want to use Azure for my computes. The data is all here. So you are not actually moving the data. All you need to do is spin down the Amazon servers, spin up your Azure servers, and you're using the same data. So you do not have to move it. If you had it like the way it was being talked about, so if I had my data here, I had to move my data there. One, it would have been prohibitively expensive because you had to pay egress charges. Right. There are no egress charges here.
Thank you.
Makes sense.
Okay. Sorry, I need to rush through a little bit. I wish I had more time on the cloud piece.
How many customers do you have on this service, on these services?
What is the UI for the service?
No. How many customers do you have on these services? So Isilon on the cloud.
I think we have lots of customers. I don't think we can talk about it offline. Right? Yeah. All right. So can I do a quick demo? Go to download. Okay, so we can share some of this demo, but like as I said, it is the big ticket item is the fact that what I wanted to show is the fact that from a management perspective, you're managing it from the cloud, right? So I think you were asking, is it running in the cloud, outside the cloud, where it is, you don't know. You are going to the cloud, you're getting the same experience, right? I go to the marketplace and I say, hey, I want to buy 10 petabytes of capacity. You got 10 petabytes of capacity. Tomorrow I want to change it to 20 petabytes of capacity. You get 20 petabytes of capacity. You're managing it from there, from the Google Cloud. You have no idea where this thing is sitting.